Hi, I'm Cindy. Welcome to Spark of Vintage. Today we're going to be doing a spring basket featuring the Easter wreath mold from Prima Redesign and some items from Finnabair Art Alchemy. So today we're going to be using amazing casting resin. This casting resin is a 50-50 ratio and it has a quick cure time. You'll know when your resin is ready to pop out of the mold when you start to see it turn from that very clear to a cloudy white surface. You might even start to see hardening around the edges. So as you can see here, I'm wearing my gloves, and it's always important to wear your gloves whenever you're using casting resin. But as you can see here, the mold is starting to turn like we talked about just a moment ago. And as you start to see the edges start to dry, then it'll be time to pop it out of the mold and you'll be ready to start to apply it. Now, my resin here was a little more pliable. It might have been that my mixture was a little off. It might not have been exactly 50-50. Sometimes if the resin has gotten too hot or it sat too long, then your ratios may not cure as hard. But that worked in our favor for this one because I wanted to use the resin on a rounded surface, as you'll see in just a moment with the basket. So in this instance, it really worked in our favor. I just took some time to make sure that the resin fit in a good way around the shape of the basket. Again, because it didn't cure 100%. If I had left it overnight, it would have probably been too hard in the morning to shape around the basket. But this really worked in our favor because I was able to take the softer resin as it first came out of the mold and shape it around the basket. So I did have to do some adjustments because I think I had my wreath going horizontally, and I think it worked out much better vertically. So once I knew the resin was going to work with the basket, I went ahead and took my DIY paint in Aviary green, love this color, and decided to just match the handle only of the basket. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint the resin piece green as well to match the handle of the basket. The bunny rabbit, we're going to do in a different color in FolkArt mushroom. So what I love about DIY paint is that chalk paint we don't normally need to do a primer on plastics, but always test it. But I found that one coat worked perfectly well for what we were looking at doing today. So once all our sealant and Big Top has dried, then it's time to apply the resin piece to the basket. I appreciate doing this with rubber bands. Sometimes they will snap on you. So as you can see in the video, I had a little snap come back on me. But I feel like they hold your resin pieces in place beautifully. You may have cloth bands or other things that work really well as well. I use Finnabair's heavy body gel to apply the resin piece to the basket. And so I think the rubber bands help with security and to hold it in place. And then also I put a little bit heavier piece of cloth over the top of the resin when I was done. And then a light can of one of the DIY paints that were sealed just for a little bit of weight to kind of hold that, especially because the basket has a lot of texture there. It's an uneven surface. So sometimes just giving it that little bit of extra weight will help it hold in place. So I gave the resin pieces the chance to cure overnight. The longer you can give them the opportunity to cure, the better and more secure it is. But I always have tremendous success with heavy body gel. And then I just removed the rubber bands, tested it to make sure that none of the corners of the resin were peeling back up on me or that it didn't take anywhere. It wasn't going to snap back. And then once I knew that everything looked secure, then it was time to kind of put the finishing touches. I used Finnabair's Art Alchemy. Her waxes, I love them. They have a beautiful vanilla smell. They're very easy to work with. My only suggestion would be to use sparingly. Start out very light and then kind of work your way up. But I used Bronze Age on the rabbit, just to give it the opportunity to kind of give it a little sheen and to give a chance for that detail in that mold to really have an opportunity to pop. And then same thing with white pearl. I use that all around the surface and the rim of the wreath as well. And again, that contrasting cool color with the green and the white kind of pearl gives it a real opportunity to give it a luster and a shine that I think looks really great. So I was extremely happy with the project. It not only worked well for the Easter season, but I think it works really great as we transition from spring into the summer seasons. A cute basket to have for all of your spring gardening, spring storage. So it was a really fun project to do. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you some of the finished product pictures. Had a little difficulty with my camera here and there, so I didn't get an opportunity to capture every single thing that I did every step along the way. But really happy with the outcome. And I'm going to show you next the finished product. So here's a picture of the final product and a close-up shot so you can see all that beautiful detail. And then finally a shot of it in my booth at Collins Street Junction. Thank you again for joining me on Spark of Vintage, and I look forward to creating with you again very soon. Bye-bye.